So I know that Steve Serwin has been interested in setting up some sort of a transmitter network and doing something like that with very stable transmitters. So maybe you two should talk.
That'd be good. We've been trying to make the new the QRP Labs QDX, which has an excellent TXCO in it. It works great as a receiver, but when you turn on the power amp and transmit, the temperature rise well, that's one problem. It has another problem as well, but it just that alone it makes it unusable for frequent Doppler shift measurements. So the big issue right now is there are no transmitters stable enough.
Yeah.
For
Steve, are you there? Are you hearing this?
I am here, and I do hear this. And good afternoon, everybody.
Hi.
My 7610, and I guess all 7610s will take an external 10 megahertz reference. So if you hook it up to a GPS DO, it's as stable as the atomic clocks in orbit.
That's true, but it's how much does the system cost, and how hard is it to configure and get people to deploy? That's really the issue.
I bought mine from Amazon. It was about $200. And the issue I have though is my 7610 is very RF sensitive.
Yeah.
If I transmit, RF gets into that 10 megahertz line and it causes the system to stutter. Now, N5DUP, a buddy of mine's got the same setup and his didn't do that. So I've got a ground loop or something that I would need to clean up here, but.
Yeah. Well, we were hoping, yeah. What we were hoping is that, the QRP Labs QDX is a $65 device that will do multiple bands. So you can, you can easily encourage people to deploy those units. The problem it has is, as I say, the stability of it is not in transmit is not good enough. So we're trying to work with Hans, who at QRP Labs, to see if he can't address those issues. And the other low cost transmitters that are in wide use, the U3Ss from QRP Labs and the Zactecs don't transmit accurately enough, nor do they do the FSD4W modulation technique, which is needed to get the Doppler shift information out of the transmission. So the issue here is just how, from our perspective, is how do we make it easy and inexpensive for many people to put up beacons that are running 24/7 that don't take one of their expensive transceivers and and hog it for this use, because people are understandably will turn those off so they can use their transceivers for their primary purpose.
But aren't we talking about just doing this for the Eclipse, which is just 2 very brief events, or are we talking about all the time?
I think it's best to do it. Well, our goal, my Whisper Demon group's goal is to see these things running 24/7. The receive sites are running 24/7. There's 50 plus sites out there that are now listening for all the many, if not all, of the 4W modes. The problem is there's no transmitters. There's only 2 or 3 people that are able to transmit consistently. And I think if you wanted in your Eclipse studies, if you want to use Whisper or Whisper transmissions as part of your study, that trying to have people set that up and calibrate their sites in the days or hours before the Eclipse event could be a real challenge. Whereas if things get set up and are just running in the background, then you have the weeks and months ahead of time to calibrate the whole transmission chain to be sure that both your transmit, receive, and receive sites are not introducing errors into your data set. And because as it is now that the transmitters, and are the greatest source of instability. There's much more instability in the transmitters than there is in the ionosphere itself. So the just getting things calibrated and running has taken, we spent months doing this, so I don't think it's, I would think it would be unlikely, it would be difficult to get a group of people together for an Eclipse event and get their transmit and receive systems all calibrated in the short time that that they might want to devote to it. So that's why we're hoping we can get an array of sites working, and the data of which could be useful in ongoing studies of the ionosphere. Just I believe that the data sets we're getting could be studied, and from them you could extract a full worldwide model of a 24/7 model. Well, not maybe all over the world, but much of the world. Model of the ionospheric movements from this data, but it requires at this point stable and inexpensive and stable transmitters. So that's from
comment. Modulation can matter. The very best is to have a continuous carrier that never turns off, which means that if you want a beacon, maybe do AMCW so the carrier never goes away.
The FST4W modulation technique does address all of those issues, even in the context of transmitting. It is it's a frequency shift signal, but the decoder actually extracts from that signal the spreading at each tone location in the transmission. So you don't need to have you don't have to use a single carrier. You can actually extract from the 4W. And this is one of our great discoveries, is from 4W transmissions, the WISPR FST4W mode, you can extract the all the Doppler shift, the information, even though the frequencies do shift during the transmit interval. So it's an extremely powerful and until recently, I think, unrecognized feature of this new WISPR mode, that you can get ionospheric information. You don't have to just look at the carrier of WWV. If you have a stable oscillator in your WISPR transmitter, you can get the same information out of WISPR that you're getting out of WWV.
Does the receiver and that demodulation process also require similar precision?
Oh, of course, yes, but that precision is already deployed, available and deployed at literally hundreds of sites worldwide. It's available. So the Kiwi SDRs, when running recent Kiwi software and with GPS antennas attached directly to them, no extra cost, just running the way they come from the factory and how most users are running them. Those Kiwis are accurate to 10 millihertz on 20 megahertz. On 20 meter band, the 14 meter band, or 20 meter band of 14 megahertz. So it's the receive system is there deployed, and actually even registering, we're recording that increased accuracy is being recorded already to the WISPR daemon extended spots database. So all that's required is inexpensive transmitters to be deployed. You don't need receive systems. You've got them. They're already there in service and logging data. But anyway, there's a paper that Gwen G3ZIL presented on this subject at the DCC conference. So he couldn't, neither of us could go in person, so it was perhaps not as well. He didn't have the opportunity to fully communicate. It was a recorded presentation. But that's one of that's the main reason why I called in today, is I think that may be unrecognized, and the existence of not only the receive sites but the data is present, is being recorded right now by receive sites. So anyway, that's my message. If you want more details, I'd be happy to share that. You can go to the wisprdemon.org and our technical papers to find Gwen's presentation, but I'd be happy to, and we could organize a call that on the specific subject. But if you're looking for receive sites for ionospheric, reception, for the Eclipse. I think there are already hundreds of them out there already ready, logging data.
That sounds very good.
So anyway, that's my that's been one of my focuses and our focus. This is between me and much credit has to go to Gwen and G3ZIL and Glenn and N6GN who really and some others other contributors to this project. But we I enabled 4W, easy use of reception of 4W in Wish for Daemon 3.0, which I released about 3 months ago. And we have now, it enabled us to start studying the use of the FSD 4W transmissions and reception, of course. And we uncovered this, to our surprise, this capability of the 4W modulation technique and the Kiwi as a receiver. Surprisingly, we did not realize how good the Kiwi is. It's as good as you need in terms of frequency, accuracy, and stability. It's a small fraction. Its inaccuracy, drift, and inaccuracy are an order of magnitude lower than that introduced by the ionospheric propagation, even on a single hop transmission. So, I mean, sometimes the ionosphere is very stable on 20 meters during the day, so there'll be almost no spread. But in the interesting times, the propagation spread on 20 meters can be on the order of 100 millihertz, and sunrise and sunset. And the Kiwis are accurate and stable to 10 millihertz. Interestingly, we find the frequency spread much greater on 40 megahertz, 40 meters than it is on 20. A subject that we think warrants a further investigation, although perhaps academic researchers understand why 40 meters would have more Doppler shift than 20. Anyway, I'm sorry to hijack your meeting, but hopefully that's relevant to what you wanted to discuss.
No, I think it is really good information, and we're going to be, over the next month, Gareth and I are going to be writing the proposal, and I think knowing this is very, very helpful for us. And I think Steve Serwin has already talked to me about the desire to set up stable transmitters. So maybe there's a good synergy here.
Yeah. Well, there's the QDX is $65 QDX with a Bogner, $150 Bogner or other GPS-DO feeding it, would have the requisite frequency stability. The problem with that device is the way he creates modulates the signal, introduces spectral spreading, and we're not sure that the hardware is actually capable of reducing that spectral spreading. Although we do have Elmer N3 AGE is trying to work through the microcode to address that. Okay, but if someone wants to, Steve, if you want to talk more about transmitters, I'd love to talk to you, and see if we can't work together to address that issue.
I was going to mention one other technique that doesn't require a very special transmitter, but it'll work with any bodies. Now, you don't get as much information, but some of the waveforms we tested on WWV, in particular, the short chirps, are very good at showing you time difference of arrival of multiple modes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can't get time of flight to the absolute time of flight, because that would require an absolute timing reference, like to the top of UTC second. But if you're willing to only look at the time difference of arrival, for example, between 1 hop and 2 hops, or 2 hops and 3 hops, or 1 and 3, you can get that with a chirp, no special requirements on accuracy any ham transceiver will do. And all you need to recover that is a sound card with a wave capture program.
Yeah, well, I need to run, but our experience is that the sound card clocks introduce a significant amount of error, frequency error. Yeah, so there's an issue there. I need to run, guys. If you excuse me, if you're interested in this subject, I'd be happy to discuss this. But I have another commitment this afternoon, so I have to run.
That sounds great, Rob. And I will talk to you more about this, and as I will get in touch with you and Glenn. I'm sorry, you and Gwyn about the Whisper project with the students in the ARRL.
Great. Okay.
Thank you.
73, guys.
73.
Bye.
Well, hi everyone. So as you heard, we had a brief diversion into Whisper transmitters and receivers, but I think that was very good information. I think what I want to do right now is probably get an update from Gary on the rules and the website and things like that. And I think that's where I want to spend most of our time today. A couple of announcements. I did hear back from NASA. Our step 1 of the NASA proposal was encouraged or invited. So that means that Gareth and I do have to work on writing a step 2 proposal now that is due November 8th. So we'll be getting to work on that probably by starting next week. And any other items for the agenda today? Great. Gary, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me share my screen and see what we can do here. Okay, so I did get into the website, learn how to edit it a little bit, and put the new and improved rules, I guess you call them, into the web format. So what I've done is I've, with a lot of help from last week, I ended up with a few questions, and those are here in yellow. So if I can ask these and get some answers, we'll be able to move on real quickly. One thing I noted is we've got the Hampshire Eclipse mailing list. And when I look at that list, it looks like it's announcement only, which is fine. But is there also a need for an email address for people that can ask questions or look for guidance before or after when they're doing their logging, or excuse me, their scoring and that sort of thing?
We can certainly do that. That's a Google group, right?
Right.
And it probably hasn't been active in a long time, right?
Right. Not so, yeah, 5 years roughly.
Yeah. So I guess we have a couple of options. We can just, let's see, there's 344 members on that list right now. I can make it so it's not announcement only. I can change it over to a discussion based like a discussion based group, which maybe that's better. The other possibility is, do we want to, I guess right now we do have this model where we have the main Hampshire Google group, and then we have these kind of splinter Google groups for the Grape and now for the Eclipse. Do we want to keep doing that, or do we want to have that traffic just go back to the main Hampshire list for now?
I think
That's
there's
a good
probably merit in
question.
having it go back to the Hampshire list.
How many members do we have in the main Hampshire list? I guess that's another question.
So the main Hampshire list has 630. So I mean, the nice thing about the main, if we do put it on the main Hampshire list, that helps us to build up the main Hampshire list, and then everyone knows about it. The downside is that some people get spammed about it if they don't want to, but it's only, it's 2 events for over the next 2 years, so maybe that's not such a bad thing.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. And if the traffic gets too heavy, then we can maybe create another group, but I kind of doubt that that'll be the case. I sure hope not.
Yeah, I think you're right. So if we just have people join the regular Hamsci Google group rather than the Eclipse only list. That's probably a better way to go.
Okay, I'll set that up and see if we can make that happen. The other question last week was about the time for the event, and the suggestion was 3 hours before to 3 hours after. And in my digging into the details on that, here's what that would entail: about a 10-hour period for the full SEQP.
Hmm.
So if that's good, we'll just leave that as it's stated.
I think that sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Another thing, Warden suggested reviewing some of the ARRL contest rules to try to get some consistency on the various categories. And as it turns out, every major contest has a different set of categories and a different set of rules by their very nature. So there's so much variability. I think we're free to do whatever we feel is best. And if we approach the ARRL for sponsorship, I think we'll be, I don't think we'll have any conflicts.
That sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah, and the other thing I thought too is, we've got single operator, multi-operator, and under multi, I was just going to say one or more transmitters. I mean, you never know, K3LR, K9CT, something like that may want to fit a few people in front of the radios and get multiple rigs on the air.
Right.
But I don't think that's anybody's going to get their shorts in a bunch over that kind of competition.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think I think maybe this is where it's like field day is not a contest. It's a it's an emergency communications exercise. The SEQP technically isn't a contest. It's technically a science experiment. So being like going crazy with the different categories, and I don't think we need to divvy things up too much.
Right. So we had 2 last time. We'll keep with 2 categories this time. That's fine. Just a note to myself, I've got to find a new place where the digital band plan exists somewhere. This current link doesn't work. And I know some of the JT modes have moved over the years. So maybe that's why nobody's published a single digital band plan, but I'll keep looking.
Okay.
Another thing that was important is the exchange for 2A QSOs. I copied this section almost word for word out of 2017.
Right.
The word I added here was both, because in this example exchange, you'll note that we suggest that each station begin with the receiving station's call sign, the exchange, and then the transmitting station's call sign.
Mm-hmm.
In the world of contesting, that's kind of unusual because, except for Sprint and a few other rare events, I've got no problem with it. I just want to make sure if that's what we want, I'll emphasize that with the word of both call signs have to be sent with every QSO, and we'll be fine.
I don't think that was the intent there. Yeah, I don't think both. I mean, the important thing is that you know that you're talking to the right person and you log it correctly. They don't have to both send their call sign over the air.
Okay. All right. I'll reword that and make that clear, like pretty much just about every other operating event on here. Then
I think it should, in a lot of ways, it should feel like most other contests.
Right. That's why, again, I felt this was unusual. That's why I wanted to bring it up. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll fix that.
You usually doing something like that both call signs is more like for RIDI, where we do that on every exchange, usually more than the others.
True, because yeah, you don't have any decoding by ear, so with machine code decoding, that helps a lot. I agree.
Yeah, but we don't do that usually on CW or voice.
Right. Okay, I'll fix that up. Just an additional benefit, maybe technology has advanced a little bit. The last time I used N1, MM, and FT8, they're kind of integrated together, and N1, MM now automatically records the SNR levels and puts them into the Cabrillo file. So that's nice. You don't have to manually enter them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good thing. So that's a good thing. So where I got a little fuzzy in the rules is just some things maybe I don't quite understand well enough is, this sentence here, if desired, you can contribute whisper data by recording the full data and sending it to us. But there was really no explanation of what full data was, so I wasn't entirely comfortable with explaining that to anybody.
Why don't we, I think you can delete that.
Okay, so this whole thing about uploading your data, the Zenodo would go then?
Yeah, I think so. Because we're really going to rely on Whisper Daemon and whispernet.org and RBN and PSK Reporter.
Good, and I don't have to explain how it works. That's a good thing for me on my side. Okay, I'll remove that. The other thing too, and I'm pretty sure we want to record the 6-character grid squares because the reason I asked that is the old rule said that 6 is preferred, but 4 is acceptable. So we ought to pick one direction or the other and go with it if we can.
Yeah, I guess go with the 6-character.
Good, that's what I hoped. Okay, fix that. So the complicated thing is kind of the bonus points, and maybe if we remove that one thing about uploading your own data, it simplifies it a little bit because you know, some of the bonus points each station can assign itself, and obviously a lot of them get assigned by the data processing team depending on what gets pulled out of the Whisper and RBN databases.
Right.
So I'll try to make that a little clearer as of what, and I haven't seen the submission entry page yet. I haven't gotten that far. Maybe that'll clarify things a little bit, but that's what I just wanted to confirm is there's some things you can kind of enter yourself and other things that the team's got to create the bonus points for you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and then so now we agreed on the 12-hour period, right? Yes, earlier today, so that's fine.
Mhm.
Good there.
Hey,
All
Gary,
right. Yes,
that's a quick question back where you were at on the bonus.
yes.
When you're, couple questions, operate just anything outdoors? Are you talking about trying to key there that you'd be able to see the eclipse? Or are you trying to emphasize like a portable mobile or
That was copied from the rules in 2017, and I know there were a lot of pictures and a lot of publicity post-event where people were outside and could actually see what was going on as well as experience the RF effect.
Okay, so really all you're trying to do is to get somebody out. You're not concerned whether they're doing a portable setup or how they're doing it. Okay, I just wanted some clarification on that point.
Sure, sure.
So I can go in my backyard and get that credit if I wanted.
Yep, I'll be out of my back porch probably, so yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Even though the annularity doesn't cross over Ohio, but at least not in 2023.
All
Okay.
right, thank you.
Any other comments or questions on what we've covered so far?
I don't think so.
Okay, good. That gives me some work to do. The other thing, let me move this down. The other thing I worked on was an FAQ page, because not everybody wants to read all the rules, especially if they're not sure if they want to participate early on. So, I mean, we're not, obviously don't want to read this whole thing today, but I figured if I could answer a few questions, you know, why we're doing it, why, when, who, where, and what equipment, that would maybe generate some interest to be an easy link that we can put in our publicity that'll get sent out over the pre-event period.
Yeah, I think that's good. Do we want to
Yeah,
put
what kind
down, so do you want to put down both, under the dates, do you want to put down both dates?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we can certainly do that.
Yeah, I think we should get both dates on people's calendars. You can mark down that the 23rd is the annular eclipse and the 2024 is a solar eclipse. the total solar eclipse.
total. Okay, that's fine.
Hey, Gary, I've got another quick question.
Sure, Ron.
Sorry about that, but so where it says what equipment is required, and then it says any. Oh, okay. It was just worded kind of funny, and now I see what it's saying. It talks about using the main bands, and then it talks about using the WARC bands 30, 17, and 12. I misunderstood that the first time I read it through. Sorry about that. I see it now.
No, no problem. I'd rather have the questions now. The earlier the better, so.
Yeah, I was just curious why we didn't just say any band, two sentences, one that talks about our main bands that are usually used, and then we're saying that a receiving state, so we're only going to receive on 30, 17, and 12. Is that what that's saying? But
Right, because in the full rules, and if you recall that there's kind of an informal international agreement that no contesting occurs on 30, 17, and 12.
yeah. Okay.
So that's why we're trying to discourage people from getting on there and calling CQ contest,
Right.
CQ, SEQP.
Yeah, that's right.
It's been a long day.
I also kind of made a big deal about the whisper enthusiasts, because I think there's the more I learn, there's more and more people who build stuff and hack stuff and make things and never actually get on the air and make a true QSO, but
Yeah.
they contribute a lot to activity on the band. So I wanted to really make sure they're in our tent. so to
Should
speak.
we have categories with the scoring? You know, we're scoring for just QSOs. Should we like have categories for like automatic top transmitter in Whisper, automatic top receiver in Whisper like top 3, and these will just be automatic. We just automatically go look at the databases and see who was spotted the most times and who did the most spotting.
Yeah, I mean, if the data processing team can pull that stuff out, that's mostly on their shoulders, but we can certainly do that.
I mean, in a lot of ways, that should almost be easier to do than parsing through a whole bunch of logs, because we just go download all the Whisper data. I guess the question would be then, like, how do you write the rules for who gets the best score for WhisperNet? Because that could probably get pretty complicated. Do you define like most spots within a geographic area? You know, over what? So I guess we use over the period of time, and then do we use like, do you include European stations in that? It just gets a little
And I
complicated.
think part of the trick too is obviously if there's, you've got 4 different Whisper stations, my one transmission could get picked up by all 4 of them. Do you count that as 4? Or do you try to?
Yeah, the scoring gets a little hairy there.
So I can give it a little thought. We don't have to decide right here, but you're right. That's
Yeah. I think it might be nice to have some sort of recognition for the Whisper, because in a lot of ways, if you have people who hop on WhisperNet during all of this and they make sure their Whisper station's working, they're providing as good, if not better, data than anybody else. So they should get rewarded somehow. But yeah,
and basically what it comes down to is recognition in the write-up, is what
Right.
you're saying, because we're not really giving out awards, but.
right. I mean, last time we did this, I gave out certificates to people.
I know I've got my participation certificate on my hard drive somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'll give it some thought. Let me see what I can come up with, and we certainly got enough time to think it over.
Yeah. So that might be something to think about. Yeah, how do we recognize these people?
Okay. All right. Any other thoughts or input? Let me go back to the rules real quick and see if I missed anything, since we got some time. rules, the time. Thanks. I guess another question for you, Nathan, or for the group is that, I mean, the whisper receivers, I think we give, you can count the receiver, multiple receivers if they're at least 100 kilometers, or is that transmitters, if they're at least 100 kilometers apart, because that, you know, obviously generates more data. There it is. If you set up multiple receiving nodes, they could be separated by at least 100 kilometers. So that makes a lot of sense to me. And you can also have multiple receiving nodes. I know, let's see, if they're on the same band and mode, then they've got to be separated by 100 kilometers. If they're on different bands and modes, they could be clustered within the same area, and then we've got our 500-meter rule, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that makes sense now that I think about it. There was also some stuff about recording, spectrum recording, whatever in the rules last time.
Yeah, I think get rid of that for now.
Okay, I'll look to see if I included that and get rid of it.
A whole bunch of people, some people send me spectrum recordings. I have a bunch of hard drives at my house with that data, maybe even over here with that data. And I have the hard drives, but we really haven't been able to do anything with it. So
Okay,
I would say unless we really get that figured out and know exactly what we want to do with it, yeah.
okay, that's fine. I can clean that up. The other suggestion Ward made last week, which I thought was a good one, is when I do get these kind of finished up, since we've got a fair amount of time, is if there's a group of people who would just, if I could just send them out to them, let them review them, they could read them in detail and stew on them and send me some questions back, as opposed to just doing this on a weekly basis. So if anybody wants to volunteer for that task, you're welcome to get a hold of me at my I guess I should put that in the chat. But you're welcome to email me with if you want to be one of the reviewers, and we'll give you a chance to review the rules, and that would be most helpful.
I think that would be really good. Yeah, if you could get some other people to help you with that.
Okay, great. There we go. Okay, that's about all I've got for now. I've got these pages at least in pretty decent shape. We'll get everybody's comments back, make these edits, and then I'll start working on some of the other pages that need work.
That looks great, Gary. Thank you.
Okay, good.
Fantastic. Let me one thing I'm not very good at doing, I'm aiming to get better, is take notes during these meetings and kind of keep minutes. So let me just kind of summarize what's happened so far. So Robin at AI 6 VN discussed the capabilities of the Kiwi SDR network, including his system at KPH. He noted that the current Kiwi SDR and software, when connected to GPS, is capable of making millihertz, let's see, frequency measurements on the 20-meter band with accuracy down to millihertz. Did I get that correct? That's what he said, right? Yeah. See Steve nodding his head. There are now 52 hundreds of these stations deployed worldwide. He is now looking for getting a network of Whisper, or what's the new mode that he was saying?
FSTW4, I think.
FSTW4 transmitters that are also GPS stabilized on the air. Steve Serwin, WA5FRF, had a discussion with Rob about this possibility. Rob also reminded us that the Whisper daemon database contains additional noise and measurement information over the traditional whispernet.org website. Nathaniel will be contacting Rob and Gwyn Griffiths to discuss a student ARRL project using this data. Does that sound like it captured it all? And then Gary, AF8A, gave a report on the status of the SEQP of the new SEQP rules. He showed an edited, he showed a draft of the rules on the hamsci.org beta website. Many small questions were addressed. Gary is going to have other hams review the rules once he edits them again. Does that sound good?
Yeah, one thing you might want to capture too is our decision on the groups.io to use the main group, because that's affects a lot of people.
We have decided to use the main hamsci at googlegroups.com as the listserv that people should join if they are interested in the SEQP.
Good.
Great. Any other comments from anyone?
I took a quick look online. That mode that Rob was talking about is FST4W. I swapped the last two.
FST, thank you.
Yep.
Great. Any action items?
Ben, I have spent a little time looking at these chirp waveforms and trying to put one together that I want to try soon with Joe.
Mhm.
W7LUX. We'll try sending it back and forth. The
You-
beauty is you get the time difference of arrival of multiple modes, and you wanted to see how that changed with how the Eclipse passed. I think with the right kind of processing, you might even get back to Doppler out of. I watch how they change over time. But the beauty is that all you need to do is transmit this one waveform that you can do with a wave recorder, and then record the same thing. And the processing requirements are really pretty relaxed. Like you don't need millihertz precision in your sound card because the precision is built into the waveform. I'll send you some write-ups on this and the test waveform too. I'm going to try and put together back-to-back up-down chirps that will run for maybe 5 seconds. That would be like 100 repetitions so that we could average the data with a good sound card spectrum analyzer. The deal is that when you sum a chirp with a delayed copy of itself, you get beat notes
Mhm.
that are proportional to the time difference of arrival. So it's pretty easy to process out the different times. And if you can get several of them to get decent averaging, like a string of 5 seconds worth, that's what I want to find out, explore with Joe. See how well it works. We'll get on and try some tests on maybe 80 and 40 meters between here and Arizona.
Let me try and write that down a little bit better. So you said that you're sending a delayed.
No, you send a chirp, and if you have more than one present at the receiver, you get the one time, the first arrival, and if there's a second arrival, it automatically sums with the time delay.
Okay.
And then they beat with each other, and the beat note tells you what that time delay is.
Okay.
So you get time difference of arrival information on multipath.
Okay. That makes sense. So it's really not absolute time of flight, it's time difference of arrival?
Yes.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
that relieves you from having to have a GPS DO as well. And it really makes the equipment simple.
Okay, for getting the time difference of arrival information.
Of multiple modes, multipath, time difference of arrival of multipath.
Okay. Of arrival information of multi-path is does that look like it captures what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so I think this looks really good. So then for next week, I think the main work is to continue reviewing the rules and continue reviewing the rules. Once we are happy with them, build them out to the live website. Sound like a good agenda for next week?
Yeah, it's good. And the other thing I'd like to talk about, especially if Ward's here, is I've been researching the past articles and CQ and QST and whatnot about the 2017 SEQP, and time to start banging on doors to, I guess, get the next one going.
Yes. Yeah. So, discuss, announcements of the, 2023, 2024 SEQPs with amateur radio media.
Is the question I wanted to ask Ward is like, I know if you send a letter to the editor in your local paper, the first thing, at least in Cleveland, they ask you is it exclusive to us, because they don't want it published anywhere else. So I don't know how we.
I've never had that problem with the ARRL or with the other amateur radio groups. I will send
Okay.
things simultaneously to the ARRL news editor and to Rich Moseson over at CQ and I just send it to everybody.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
That works for me.
Because I think this is, yeah, I haven't had that that exclusivity factor seem to pop up. We just want everyone, we want to get everyone on the air, and people seem to be on board with doing that. In fact, usually what happens is if I send it to the ARRL news editor and they post something, then the Southgate ARC and a bunch of other radio leagues around the world will pick it up as well. So it's kind of nice that way. I think the other thing that we want to discuss is we want to communicate with the contest logging software makers to have the 2023 and 2024 SEQPs in the logging software. And we also want to make sure we have a way that people can upload their logs with all of the information needed. So I think when I was at NJIT, I got a computer science student to write a script where people could upload their logs to. Ideally, if we're able to use some sort of existing log parsing robot, that's probably going to be better for us. But we have to make sure that we properly account for all of the extra bonus questions and things like that. So we have to figure out where people are going to send these logs to.
Okay, yeah, we got to finalize the bonus, who enters what, and then figure out where we're going to send them. So that's a question probably for Bruce Horn, WA7BNM, who's done a lot of the other log robots. So.
Hey, Nathaniel.
Yeah.
Are you going to want to also put this on the 3830 scoreboard?
That's a possibility. So I think we should.
Just something to kick around.
Yeah, I think we should include that in our discussion.
Yeah, because I know a lot of contesters will use that and look on it. So
yeah, that sounds really good. All right, it is almost 5 o'clock. I think this was a very good meeting. Thanks for everyone's help. See you soon, Mary Lou.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
All right, everyone. Great. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time, everybody.
Thanks. Oh, Gareth, before you go.
Yeah.